Imagine a Tennessee sunset painting Cloverdale gold, where little Lily Harper, just 6, cuddles close to her German Shepherd, Scout, a war hero who swapped battlefield scars for her smiles. In a cozy vet clinic, surrounded by folks with hearts as big as the volunteer state, their story unfolds, a tale of courage, love, and family that's as American as a front porch swing. Stick around for this journey of grit and grace, and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single moment of the warmth waiting ahead. The late afternoon sun dipped low over Cloverdale, Tennessee, casting a honeyed glow across weathered barns and sprawling oak trees. In a modest vet clinic on the edge of town, 6-year-old Lily Harper knelt beside a quilt-draped table, her small hand trembling as it traced the thick, tan and black fur of her German Shepherd, Scout. His breaths came slow and ragged, each one a quiet rebellion against a body worn thin by illness. Lily's hazel eyes brimmed with tears she wouldn't let fall, her freckled cheek pressed against his warm coat as she whispered secrets only Scout could hear, promises, maybe, or a little girl's plea to stay. 2 years ago, this noble dog had bounded through the sun-scorched chaos of an Iraqi desert, his keen nose unearthing a buried explosive that spared 15 American soldiers from a fiery end. A jagged scar snaked along his flank, a faded badge of that bravery, now half hidden by the frailty of his wasting frame. Today, Scout lay still, an American flag folded neatly beside him, its stars and stripes a silent salute to his service. Around them, a crowd of nearly 500 gathered, veterans in crisp uniforms, families clutching children's hands, police officers with bowed heads, and strangers drawn by whispers of a war hero and the little girl who loved him. They'd come from across 3 counties, their boots crunching gravel in reverent silence, filling the clinic's parking lot with pickup trucks and old sedans. Lily's parents, Jack and Clara Harper, stood close, their hands resting on her narrow shoulders, but the air hummed with an unspoken truth: this farewell belonged to Lily and Scout, a bond forged in quiet miracles, now facing its tender, inevitable close. Lily Harper wasn't like the other kids who raced through Cloverdale's dusty streets, their voices a symphony of chatter and laughter. Born with a rare neurological condition that tangled her ability to speak, she'd lived her early years in a world of silence, her thoughts locked behind a gate no key could seem to fit. At an age when her classmates spun tales of imaginary dragons and summer adventures, Lily's garden of ideas stayed hidden, blooming only in her wide, watchful eyes. Doctors puzzled over her vocal cords were perfect, they said, but something deeper, a twist in her brain's wiring, made words feel like slippery fish she couldn't catch. By 5, she'd spoken fewer than 30 phrases, most gasped out in moments of panic or desperate need, like the time she'd fallen from the porch swing and cried "Mama" through gritted teeth. Her parents, Jack and Clara, had tried everything: speech therapy, picture books, even a ukulele to coax out a tune. Nothing broke through. Jack, a broad-shouldered army vet who'd fixed tanks in Iraq, would sit with her on their creaky farmhouse porch, telling stories of desert stars, hoping she'd echo even a word. Clara, a nurse with gentle hands and a heart that ached for her quiet girl, read her fairy tales each night, pausing for responses that never came. It was Ms. Ellen, Lily's speech therapist with a knack for thinking outside the box, who suggested a 4-legged cure. "Animals can reach where people can't," she'd said, her voice soft but sure. Jack and Clara, desperate for a lifeline, never dreamed a retired military dog would become their daughter's voice, and their family's heart. Scout's tale began far from Tennessee's rolling hills, in a dusty kennel on a Texas military base where courage was bred into his bones. His ancestors were legends, German shepherds whose noses sniffed out danger and whose loyalty saved lives. At 8 weeks, Scout started training, his floppy ears perking as handlers taught him to detect the faintest whiff of explosives, gunpowder, for homemade bombs buried in sand. By his first birthday, he could pinpoint 20 compounds, even traces too faint for machines, his tail wagging like a metronome with every success. Paired with Staff Sergeant Mike Sullivan, A lanky Texan with a quick laugh, Scout became a battlefield marvel. Over 2 tours in Iraq, they were an unbreakable team, Mike's calm commands guiding Scout through rubble-strewn villages. Scout's nose saving platoons from unseen threats. Mike bragged at campfires, "That dog's sharper than a radar. Saved us more times than I can count." Their last mission, in July 2021, changed everything. Near a crumbling village 30 miles from Baghdad, Scout froze mid-step, his body taut, signaling danger. Mike radioed the squad to halt as Scout nosed toward a rusted truck. The first bomb was there, just as he'd warned, but a second, hidden and remote-triggered, exploded as they retreated. Shrapnel tore through Scout's flank, knocking Mike back with a concussion. Bleeding but defiant, Scout dragged himself to Mike's side, standing guard until medics arrived 8 minutes later. The army patched him up, but nerve damage left him limping. Unfit for war. Mike, still overseas, couldn't take him, so Scout entered a K-9 adoption program, his medals pinned to a file awaiting a new home. Jack learned of Scout through Cloverdale's VFW, where he volunteered fixing cars for struggling vets. He'd never handled dogs in Iraq, his hands were for engines, not leashes, but he knew the weight of coming home broken. Clara saw Scout as a flicker of hope for Lily, whose silence had deepened into a lonely shadow. They applied, detailing Lily's struggle and their quiet farm life. When the day came, Mike drove Scout from Virginia, his own injuries slowing him with a crutch. The Harper's gravel drive crunched under tires as Lily peeked from behind Clara's legs, her pigtails swaying. Mike knelt, wincing but smiling. "Hey, little lady, this is Scout. He's a hero who needs a pal. Think you can help him out?" Lily stared, her breath hitching. Then, clear as a church bell on Sunday, she said, "Hi, Scout. I'm Lily." 4 words, unscripted, unprompted, rang out like a miracle. Clara's hand flew to her mouth, Jack blinked back a flood, and Mike chuckled, handing Lily the leash. "All yours, kiddo." Scout settled into Cloverdale like he'd been born there. He trailed Lily through fields of wildflowers, his limp softening as he matched her pace. At night, he curled by her bed, his steady breaths a lullaby for her restless dreams. She'd sit cross-legged on the rug, tracing his scars with a fingertip, whispering tales of her day, how the wind rustled the oaks, how Mrs. Jenkins' cat stared from the fence. Therapists scribbled notes as Lily's voice grew, soft murmurs to Scout became sentences to Jack and Clara, then shy greetings to the mailman. When thunder rolled over the hills, Scout pressed against her, his warmth chasing away fear. By summer 2023, she'd chat about school in bursts, her world unfolding petal by petal under Scout's patient gaze. Jack and Clara marveled, their farmhouse, once a quiet shell, now echoing with her voice, a gift from a dog who'd traded war for love. But shadows creep even into the brightest days. One crisp October morning, Clara frowned as Scout nosed his kibble aside, his appetite gone. A vet visit waved off worries, maybe a bug, they said, but blood tests were ordered. Days later, the call came, sharp as a blade, aggressive osteosarcoma, bone cancer gnawing through Scout's frame. The prognosis was months, not years, treatment, a slim shot at extra time, cost $18,000 up front, with more to follow. Jack, who fixed transmissions at Hank's garage, and Clara, pulling shifts at Cloverdale Memorial, sat late over coffee, numbers glaring from a notepad. Their savings were scraps, Lily's therapy, a leaky roof, and a busted truck had eaten it all. "He's her everything," Clara said, voice breaking. "We can't just let him go." Jack nodded, his jaw set. "He's our boy too. We'll fight for him." Cloverdale rallied like a family. The VFW hosted a barbecue, grills smoking as vets swapped stories and raised $3,000. Lily's first grade class sold lemonade and cookies. their sticky grins delivering $400 in a jar. A GoFundMe sparked online, donations trickling from Nashville to Knoxville. The Gazette splashed their story, Tennessee family battles for hero dog, and their quiet life turned public. But not all voices cheered. Letters griped about frivolous spending when shelters begged for funds. "Feed kids, not pets," one snarled. Clara found a note, "Your dog's had his day," and burned it. But doubt crept in. Lily sensed it, her big eyes searching. "Is Scout okay?" she asked, clutching his collar. Jack hugged her tight. "We're keeping him safe, darlin'. Promise." They'd move mountains, or sell them, to keep Scout's heart beating beside hers. The Harper farmhouse kitchen glowed faintly under a flickering bulb, its oak table buried in bills and vet reports. Jack and Clara hunched over the chaos, their whispers sharp with urgency as Lily slept upstairs, Scout's snores drifting down like a metronome. The $18,000 price tag for Scout's first chemo round mocked them, a fortress they couldn't storm. Jack's garage wages and Clara's nursing shifts kept the lights on, but their bank account was a ghost town, drained by Lily's therapy and a roof that leaked every spring. "A loan might work," Jack said, scratching numbers on a napkin. Clara's brow furrowed. "We'd be underwater in a year. And if it fails?" She glanced at Scout's bowl, still full from breakfast, and her throat tightened. "He's not a pet, Jack. He's her voice, our miracle." Jack rubbed his stubbled jaw, a soldier sizing up a losing fight. "Then we scrape harder. He's family." They hunted solutions like hounds on a trail. Jack bartered with Dr. Patel for a payment stretch, 6 months, no interest. Clara dug through vet charities online, her laptop humming late into the night. They cashed an old bond from Jack's mom. Sold his army trunk, medals and all, at a yard sale, watching strangers haul off pieces of his past. Together, they clawed up $6,000, enough for Scout's first drip, but the horizon loomed dark with more bills. Cloverdale caught wind fast, the way small towns do. The VFW fired up a pancake breakfast, vets in ball caps flipping flapjacks while kids ran wild, raising $3,200. Lily's teacher, Mrs. Grayson, rallied her class for a bake sale, brownies and lemon squares netting $450 in a dented tin. Hank, Jack's boss, set up a GoFundMe, and it spread like wildfire, pulling in $5,000 from strangers in Memphis and beyond. The Cloverdale Gazette splashed their story across its front page, "Family fights to save soldier dog," and suddenly, the Harper's private war was a town anthem. Support swelled, but so did grumbles. The paper's letters page bristled. "Why pour cash into a dog when shelters are full?" one reader snapped. Online, a commenter jabbed, "Kids need coats. Not a mutt needs medicine." Clara found a scribbled note in their mailbox, "Think of people, not pets," and torched it in the sink, her hands shaking. Lily, sharp as a tack, felt the ripples. "Are folks mad at Scout?" she asked one evening, her pigtails drooping. Jack scooped her up. "Some don't get it, sugar. But we do. Scout's worth it." The pressure piled high. And when their ancient furnace rattled its last breath that October, $5, $200 to replace, Jack tossed out a grenade. "What if we sell the house?" Clara froze, coffee mug midair. "Our home?" "Jack, that's," he cut in, eyes fierce. Lily's first word was, "Scout." Her first laugh was him chasing fireflies out back. "Tell me that ain't worth more than bricks." The debate stretched days, voices rising and falling in the farmhouse's creaky halls. Ms. Ellen warned Scout's loss could silence Lily again, undoing years of fragile progress. Dr. Patel dangled hope, treatment might stretch Scout's life a year, maybe 2. On a rain-soaked Tuesday, with thunder rumbling like a drum roll, they chose Their farmhouse, where Jack had carried Clara over the threshold. Where Lily took her first wobbly steps, hit the market. Tom Riley, a VFW pal turned realtor, slashed his commission, hammering a "for sale" sign into the frostbitten yard by Friday. 2 weeks later, a young couple, Mike and Jenny, expecting their first kid, signed the papers, their eyes bright with dreams of their own. The sale cleared Scout's treatment. With $20,000 left for a rainy day. Moving day dawned gray. Lily perched on the porch steps, Scout's head heavy in her lap as boxes stacked high in a U-Haul. "Why re we going?" she asked Clara. Her voice a thread. Clara sat beside her, smoothing her hair. "To keep Scout with us, baby. Love means big choices sometimes." Lily nodded, her fingers tracing Scout's ear. "Scout'd do it for me." Their new home was a shoebox, an apartment off Maple Street, 2 bedrooms squeezed tight, a living room barely big enough for their thrift store couch. They shed half their life, Jack's recliner, Clara's china hutch, keeping Lily's bed and Scout's mat, placed where he could watch her door like a sentinel. That first night, the building's hum, elevators, footsteps, muffled TVs, jarred Lily awake. At 2 a.m., Clara found her sobbing beside Scout, his nose nudging her hand. "I don't like it," she hiccuped. "Can we go back?" Clara's heart cracked. "This is home now, sweetie. We're together, that's the good part." Lily shook her head, tears streaking her cheeks. "Scout's sad too." Clara studied him, his eyes dim, his tail still, and wondered if Lily's quiet wisdom saw past her own exhaustion. Scout's chemo began, a brutal dance of IVs and quiet days. Cloverdale's love poured in. Sergeant Tim Brooks, Mike's old handler, rolled up in his beat-up Chevy, a handmade ramp under his arm for Scout's shaky climbs. Mrs. Jenkins from 3B, a retired vet tech with a smoker's rasp, brought cornbread and offered to dose Scout's meds. Earl, the gruff Vietnam vet managing the building, waved the pet fee with a grunt, "That dog's a soldier." Neighbors dropped off quilts and casseroles, their knocks soft but steady. Lily, wary of new faces, softened under their kindness, her whispers to Scout spilling into shy "thank yous." The Gazette story hit TV, a Nashville station ran, "Family sells home for hero dog," and support surged. A fundraiser covered Scout's next rounds, and Lily's school launched Paws for Patriots, selling crafts for service dogs nationwide. Even skeptics softened, one penning, "Didn't get it, till I saw her smile." But shadows lingered. At school, Tommy Baxter taunted, "You're broke 'cause of a dumb dog." Lily came home silent, her backpack thudding to the floor. "Are we poor?" she asked Clara, eyes searching. Clara knelt, cupping her face. "Money's tight." "Yeah. But we're rich where it counts, love, family, Scout." Lily hugged her, then Scout, whispering, "I'll tell you're a hero." Winter deepened, Scout's third treatment cycle nearing its test. Would the cancer yield? The Harpers held tight, their lives remade by a dog who traded battlefield dust for a little girl's laughter. December frost painted Cloverdale's windows as the Harpers piled into Jack's truck, headed for Scout's big checkup. Lily clutched a crayon-scrawled card for the vet staff and Scout's chewed tennis ball. "For good news," she insisted, her voice a hopeful chirp. The specialty vet center hummed with holiday bustle, garlands looping the reception desk, a tinsel tree blinking in the corner. Tension buzzed beneath it, though, as Jack's knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. A vet student, Jenny Carter, approached, her scrubs crisp. "I'm shadowing Scout's case," she said, kneeling to Lily. "He's a big deal to me. Can I tag along today?" Lily nodded, her usual shyness melting, a testament to Scout's quiet magic. 2 hours dragged by in the exam room, Lily doodling dogs on a notepad, until Dr. Patel entered, his face a puzzle. Dr. Lin, a pathology whiz, trailing him. "We've got a curveball," Dr. Patel said, flipping open a chart. Clara's hand found Jack's. "Good or bad?" Dr. Lin's lips twitched. "Confusing. Scout's tumors are shrinking, awesome news, but his blood's telling a different story. We might have got it wrong." Lily's head snapped up. "Scout's not sick." Dr. Lin crouched. Her voice gentle. "He's sick, darlin', but maybe not with cancer. We need more tests to be sure." Jenny piped up, her eyes bright. "I think it's aspergillosis, a fungal infection from Iraq. It mimics cancer but reacts weird to chemo." Dr. Patel blinked, then nodded. Rare as a unicorn, but she might be right. The steroids in his treatment could have helped by fluke. Jack's mind reeled. "No cancer?" Dr. Lin confirmed, "Looks like a fungal bug he picked up overseas. Treatable, but a whole new game." Costs flashed, $3,500 for tests, $5,500 to start treatment. $400 monthly after. Clara's stomach dropped, they'd sold their farm for this. Jenny grinned. "My grant could cover the tests if Scout joins my study. He'd help other soldier dogs too." Hope sparked, fragile but real. Driving home, Clara murmured, "We flipped our world for the wrong enemy." Jack squeezed her hand. "Or the right one got us here." Scout's antifungal meds kicked off hard, lethargy. Skipped meals, then a seizure one stormy night. Lily's screams pierced the apartment as Scout convulsed, Jack scooping him up for an emergency run. He stabilized, but Lily's voice vanished. Her silence a fortress. Ms. Ellen sighed over coffee. She's scared Scout slipping away. It's self-defense. They tweaked his meds, easing his pain, and brought him home. Lily stayed mute. Her eyes tracking him, clutching her stuffed Scout like a lifeline. By February, Scout perked up, nibbling kibble, limping less, his tail flicking with life. The infection held steady. Not beaten, his bones scarred but manageable. Lily's silence lingered, her bond with Scout a wordless thread. Cloverdale planned Scout's Day at Veterans Park for March, a tribute to his valor and Lily's love. The day broke sunny, 600 folks crowding the pavilion, vets in dress blues, kids waving signs, neighbors who'd baked and prayed. Sergeant Tim detailed Scout's feats, 3 years. 18 saves, while Lily stood by him, silent but steady. Then, a twist, Lily had written a letter. Tim's voice cracked as he read, "I'm Lily Harper, 6. Scout's my best friend. He helped me talk when I was quiet. We sold our house because he saved me, so we saved him. He's sick from Iraq, not cancer. I told him he could go to heaven if it hurt too bad. But he stayed. He's brave, and I'm brave with him. Love beats a house. Thank you for loving us." Tears fell, applause roared. Lily bowed, her hand on Scout's neck, her silence louder than words. Jenny gifted him a research tag, whispering, "You'd be an amazing vet, Lily." April crept in, and Scout's fight waned, not from infection, but age. One still evening, Lily said goodbye. Her whispers soft as he faded on that quilt, love encircling him. "You're my hero forever," she said, smiling through sobs. Cloverdale buried him under an oak, a plaque gleaming, "Scout, soldier. Healer, friend." Lily spoke again, her voice a legacy of a sacrifice that wasn't loss, but a love that reshaped a family and a town. From Lily and Scout's journey in Cloverdale, we learn a truth as old as the hills: love isn't measured in dollars or square footage, it's the quiet courage to sacrifice for those who lift us up. Scout, a soldier dog, didn't just save lives overseas. He gave Lily her voice, proving that sometimes our greatest heroes wear fur, not capes. It's a reminder that in America's heartland, from Tennessee to your own backyard, the bonds we forge, with family, friends, or a loyal pup, are what make life rich, even when the bank accounts lean. So, what's your take? Drop a comment below, tell us about a sacrifice you've made for love. Or just share your city and a thumbs up for Scout's story. Hit that like button and subscribe, because we've got more tales of heart and hope coming your way.